Hey guys, welcome to a new video. So a big day in the markets today, a lot of volatility and Bitcoin up, hitting $70,000 again. It's good to see because Bitcoin has been doing nothing for a long time. It's been pretty bad, pretty painful. And why has this move happened? Well, Trump, he revealed that the US has talked about accumulating sizable amounts of Bitcoin and crypto. And so we've got this little pump up around 7% or something. So that means good things for Misti, MSTW, Coney, Coinbase, blocks. Blocks, not so much, and that's what we'll get into. But also, look at this. Does anyone hold MRNY? It's a yield max Moderna ETF. So mRNA, the income ETF, MRNY. And look, it is up 168%. Not this year, one day, today, 168%. This is a yield max ETF, yield max being capped upside usually. This is insane. Is anyone holding MRNY? Because I was not holding it. Man, I'm I'm jealous. If you were holding it, let me know in the comments because that is I think it's based on them. They've had some results of some vaccines potentially good results in terms of cancer, I believe, a vaccine for cancer, being able to cure or do something around cancer. I'm not sure exactly the details, but obviously absolutely pumping the stock and the income ETF from Yieldmax MRNY. So that is crazy. But we're going to talk today about MSTW, Misti, Coney, Coinbase, all that sort of stuff, crypto related income ETFs, because they are ripping today and we'll get into it. But I'm going to talk about, what a bull market could look like for Misti, for MSTW, which one's better, what your returns could potentially look like, what the price action, what the share price could potentially look like as we look on historical data, but as we also look forward to a potential bull market going forward. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is Misti back from the dead? Is MSTW better? All that good stuff. So before we get into it, of course, this is not financial advice. This channel is purely based on my thoughts as I navigate my own personal investment journey. Please, always do your own research. So, that's just crazy. MRNY, if you look down here to the right, MRNY up 169%. That is madness. I woke up and saw MSTW up 14 or 15%. I think it's up more than that after market. You can see another 5%. So it's up almost 20% MSTW. COIW up almost 12%, but even more aftermarket or overnight trading. Misti, so you can see the difference between Misti, which is capped, and MSTW. MSTW, it's leveraged. It's the Roundhill weekly pay ETF. It's got that extra 20% exposure. So there's the added risk of leveraged with that extra 20%. But of course, when we're going into a rally, when we're going to the upside, it's able to capture all the upside. Whereas Misti is capped, it's up 9% versus MSTW's 14%. So there's quite a disparity. So I really like MSTW because I want to be capturing all that upside as we go up, but we're going to talk more about that. And then same thing for Coinbase related ETFs. So COIW up just over 11% and Coney up just over 7%. Robinhood also having a good day. So who's up? Uber's up, which is nice for me. I hold a bit of Uber. Pretty good. And then what's down? Broadcom was down. I actually bought a tiny bit of Broadcom in this dip because I really like that stock. So I was trying not to, but already had a limit order on it. And it filled it. So I'll take it, whatever. Gold and metals also having a bit of a rally. And then what about our basket ETFs? Altai doing the best, even though it's still sitting pretty bad at middle sevens, which is not great. Blocks. See, what's interesting is Bitcoin's up, 7%. It's up, just hit 70,000. It's now back down to 69,500. And blocks is not captured a lot. And the reason is because it's an actively managed ETF. And this is both a blessing and a curse of these actively managed ETFs. It's the blockchain crypto technology from X funds, but it's only got up 2.29%, whereas MSTW, COIW, they've gone up like quadruple that. And the reason being is because they haven't rotated out of AI yet. And so they've only got a small amount of exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum and crypto. So they haven't really captured all that upside that Bitcoin has now captured. So when people are like, oh yeah, should we be accumulating now? I think blocks is still a good buy. I think blocks under 13 is still good until it rotates. They rotate the underlying holdings into more crypto and Bitcoin related holdings. I think it's still a good buy. But yeah, you can see this is both. This is not great because they haven't. This is the thing with actively managed funds is they haven't rotated the funds. They're still sitting in AI, which hasn't actually done as well today nearly as much. Actually, Chippy's down, Eggy's down, memory's down. So look at all this. Everything's down. And whereas metals and Bitcoin are rallying. So that's one of the interesting, I guess, variables or elements to these actively managed ETFs. Whereas you want to maybe potentially have some exposure to some pure Bitcoin and crypto related plays as well. Just a thought, not financial advice, of course. Yeah, and then the rest kind of not doing too much. So the story is, of course, Bitcoin getting up to above 70, and it's now hitting around 69,500, I believe. Yeah, 69.6. Here we are. So let's look at Misti historically. Now, this is a very ugly chart. If you'd been just holding Misti from the start, it doesn't look pretty, does it? Misti down 87%, Coney from the start down 90%. This is share price alone. This is price change. What's interesting, because we are in a bear market, so bear that in mind. We're in a bear market. We're at 69,000. I think Bitcoin was at 69,000 like 4 years ago. So really, in terms of price, Bitcoin's done nothing. We had a bit of a bull market here, but we're now in a bear market. So in my opinion, it is a good idea, not financial advice, but to be accumulating Bitcoin and Ethereum, if you like Ethereum, in the bear market, in the crypto winter, which is now. I think now is a good time to be buying Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, and Ethereum. And I think the same for Misti, for MSTW. Now, depends on your thesis on Bitcoin. If you think Bitcoin's like, a Ponzi scheme or whatever you think it's all crap, then obviously don't get into it. Probably not the video for you either. But potentially a very good opportunity now to get into it. And we'll get further into this. But this is price change. And what I want to show you now is look at how much down we are in terms of price change. But if we flip this to total returns, because obviously yield max pays out big distributions, since inception, both are positive over 20%. Your total return, if you'd got in from the start in Misti or in Coney, you would be up over 24% total return, which is nuts to me considering how bad the NAV, the share price, has been eroded away during this bear market. But it goes to show, like, look at this total return. I mean, Misti was up 300%. So in total return, right? Up when we hit the highs, 330% something. Like Coney was up 179%. So from the bear market, from the lows, which is what was, we came from 2022 kind of bear market, 2023, and it was going up slowly. And then from 2024, look at that. Look at those results. Up 332% total return for Misti, up 179% for Coney. Now, these are very cyclical. You should be selling them somewhere near the top. You don't need to time it. But obviously, when we get into, this is a good point, actually, because people ask me about this. So I talk a lot about the Fear and Greed Index, the CNN Fear and Greed Index, which is what I use for basically the majority of ETFs and stocks in the stock market. But when it comes to crypto-related ETFs, so Coney, Misti, MSTW, even blocks, really, I'd probably use the crypto Fear and Greed Index. Now, you can find this on CoinMarketCap, and basically it shows, like, you should be following, I follow the same logic, right? The same principle, the same framework. If you buy an extreme fear, you will generally do extremely well. You just DCA an extreme fear and fear and fear. Because now, look, we've just come out of fear. Obviously, Bitcoin, it's in this bear market, but look, we're down at 50, 60, 60,000. It's come out of extreme fear into fear at 64, 63, and now we've come up to 69, and we're at a score of 55, which is neutrality. So, it's not as good a buying opportunity as it was like a week ago, but this is the This is the fear and greed index that I like to use for buying these crypto related ETFs, more so than the CNN fear and greed index, which is for the majority of stocks and ETFs that we talk about on a day to day, TDAC, or your S&P 500 ones, all those sort of things. This is the one. But for any crypto, like maybe even Robinhood to a certain extent, because it's sensitive to crypto, but less so, I'd stick with your core kind of Ethereum based BTCI, YETH from Roundhill, MSTW, Misti, Coney, COIW, that sort of thing. For this is the fear and greed index I would use. I think it's really good, and it's how I buy Bitcoin and Ethereum. Buy in fear and extreme fear, just DCA into it during those times of fearful sentiment and people being a bit scared of it, calling it a Ponzi. If people are calling it a Ponzi left, right, and center, generally a good time to buy. Anyway, getting back to this. Okay, so up 315%. You can see the potential returns. If you were buying now, we're in a bear market now, buy now. This is the potential rally. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to go into a bull market from here and the price is just going to go up. I reckon this is probably, by the looks of things, more of a pump and dump type thing. You know, Trump's coming out, he's talking about crypto, it pumps and it'll probably come down again. It'll probably hit some kind of, not support, some kind of, what do you call it? You know, in the charts, some kind of top there, and then it comes down again. And it will probably chop around, and then before you know it, it'll probably rally again. But I think it's a good time to be continuing in a bear market, just to continue to DCA into it because of these potential returns. So I think the risk reward is pretty good right now. If we go to price change alone, and obviously it's terrible, but from inception, if we go to max actually from both of them, you know, Misti was up in price change alone 104%, you know, and here 84%. So you can get capital appreciation, even though Misti and Yieldmax ETFs are capped. You can get capital appreciation, capital growth, as well as you know, distributions on top, total returns. So, and that's what you can do. Obviously, Coney not quite as good as a performance in terms of price share, but price change. But when we look at total return, it's pretty impressive from both. Obviously, Coney, it's probably the less volatile of the two. But yeah, Misti. Oof. Okay, so what about Misti versus MSTW? Well, this is today's results. So actually, I took this data from after hours trading, so like literally an hour or two ago. And MSTW is up 19%. Obviously, Misti, it's more capped, it's up 11.4%. Coinbase COIW up 14.8%, and Coney, the yield max version, up 10.44%. So you can see when we're rallying, the yield max ETFs do not capture as much upside as the Roundhill weekly pay ETFs. So more upside participation, bigger gains in a rally. But so let's look at MSTW versus Misti. What's the difference? Strategies designed to deliver weekly income, but different approaches. So MSTW, you know, it's leveraged. It's got that extra 20% exposure. It targets 120% of MicroStrategy's total return each calendar week. Greater upside participation. So when we're buying in a bear market, I like MSTW because I want to be capturing that upside. I personally prefer it because my goal is to be accumulating more now in a bear market or in fear, extreme fear, however you want to call it, and then be selling, not like timing the top, but when we get into extreme greed on the fear and greed index, when we get to extreme greed, which is, you know, we haven't been in there for like so long. Have we got an all? Yeah, when we get to the top of a bull market, like anywhere around here between greed and extreme greed, you want to be DCA laddering out. I would sell a little bit, sell 4%, sell 5%, sell 10%. You know, as we go up, you sell, we DCA out. As you DCA in, I'm going to DCA out. That's just how I'm going to do it. Okay, weekly distributions, we know that both pay. This is high leverage. There's path risk. Okay, it's the leverage can compound, can increase volatility and drawdowns over time. If we go down, if you go from a bull market into a bear market, you're going to get absolutely crucified in MSTW, which is what has happened actually since it released. It kind of got launched in a bull market and it's now come down massively. I think it's down like 90% or something. But people would look at the chart and go, what a crap ETF, I'm not getting into that. But MicroStrategy holds over 800,000 Bitcoin. And I know it's selling a bit. I know there's a lot of like sentiment around it, and people are, oh, it's just a Ponzi. But it's not gonna be less than 800,000. When we get back into a bull market and when smart money is buying Bitcoin again, which it already seems to be doing, sentiment changes so quickly. And I think it is probably gonna fly. Not financial advice, not a crystal ball, very risky stuff, but just my opinion. Okay, Misti option income strategy monetizes Mr. volatility, so probably better in a sideways market when it's just going up and down, weekly distributions, upside cap in stronger rallies. So when we're going up, like we've just seen, like it's not able to capture as much of that upside, 19% versus 11%. So I don't like it as much, but if you were just to buy it like in a bear market where we're just range bound, it's a good option. So it's upside participation versus volatility income. Now, what if Mr. MSTR returns to its all-time highs, which MicroStrategy's all-time high is around 543. So it is down hugely off its all-time high. MicroStrategy's been getting absolutely destroyed over the last year. But if it gets back to its all-time high of 543, this is absolute, like, there's no guarantee of this. This might not ever happen, but this is just for a visualization example point of view. It could potentially go up 401% to get back to its all-time high. And what would that mean for MSTW? Well, I did some calculations with the help of my good mate ChatGPT, and it said that with the additional exposure, that additional 20% exposure, that leverage, the price would go from 359, which is where we're at today, to between 12 and 18. The reason it's a range is because obviously there's volatility, there's distributions that have to come out of the share price, there's all sorts of variables involved to get into this point. It's not a straight 120% on top of this, because that would be more like 500%, but it's not, because distributions have to be taken out. So you're going to get, if we were to go from 108 to 543 in the MicroStrategy share price, this will go from 359 to potentially, again, very risky stuff, not guaranteed, to between 12 and 18. I think it could easily hit $15 a share, MSTW, personally. If we go into a proper bull run, if Bitcoin hits around 150K, I think $15 for MSTW should be pretty doable. And that's, around a 234% to a 401% return on price change alone, plus weekly distributions. So an incredible potential opportunity if things go the way, if things are favorable for Bitcoin and for crypto, which I think will happen in the next 12, 18, 24 months. For me, it's just a matter of time. Like, I don't think anyone can time it. People talk about the 4-year cycle, and October is going to be the absolute peak bottom, and then we're going to go up from there. But I think it could surprise you. We could go up sooner than that. We could be in a bear market for longer than that. The thing is in my opinion, not to try and time it. It's just a DCA during those fearful times. That way, it takes all the emotion and the concept of trying to predict the market out of it. Excuse me. So potentially a very good opportunity. Now, Misti, obviously, that's got capped upside, so its projection is much lower, $18 to $28 if we get to 543 a share, back to all-time highs, which is a much lower return in terms of price change. But generally, Misti pays out higher weekly distributions. That's why it's lower. It's got capped upside, but it pays out those bigger distributions. So if you're looking for income, it might potentially be the better bet. But obviously, it's not as good in a bull run. So if we do go to this, then probably this is your better bet than Misti, which is better in range bound kind of situations in a kind of sideways flat market. So which one makes more sense? Well, for me, it's MSTW because we're in a bear market. So if we do eventually if we were to go down to 40K though, you don't want to be holding MSTW, you want to be holding Misti. If you think that this bear market's going to continue for another 6 months and that we could get down to 40K, don't hold either of them, of course, but Misti would probably be a better option. If you think that we're going to, excuse me, go into this bull market from here or sometime soon, or you're willing to hold it. We're going to be range bound until we suddenly go up, which I think is probably going to happen. I don't think we'll go much lower than kind of 50K Bitcoin. I think it will probably come back down again. It will be volatile, but I can't see it going much lower than $50,000 in terms of BTC price. And then from there, I think the bull run could be pretty big personally, but I could just be being overly optimistic. We will see. So MSTW, 120% weekly MSTR exposure. So it's a big bet on MicroStrategy. Greater upside participation, which is what I like. Weekly distributions, high leverage, and kind of higher risk in a way. Monetizes the volatility, option income strategy, probably higher income. Weekly distributions gives up upside in strong rallies. So if you do think we're going to 150K Bitcoin or 200K Bitcoin, this is probably not your guy. This is probably a guy if you're more bearish. Well, maybe consider Winter. Anyone holding Winter, the income ETF, the inverse Misti ETF from Yieldmax? It's been doing very well over the last year. So, yep, that's that. And then finally, just some projections to look at. This is what the analysts forecast for MicroStrategy or strategy. So it's currently sitting at 104, 108 overnight. So we had that little rally, and there's a huge amount of upside according to the financial analysts, up 331% max potential upside if we get back to around 450. Average return 125% if we get to $234 a share. Pretty much every analyst saying a strong buy or a buy, two saying a hold. So huge potential opportunity here. But of course, this is very risky stuff. But I think if you look at this chart, we're in a bear market now. And I think the risk reward is pretty good for both Misti, MSTW, Coney, and Coin and COIW. I think there's going to be good. There's going to be good returns, whether they are within the next few months or whether we have to wait another year for them. I don't know. No one does. But I think the potential return could be very strong. So anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think. Do you prefer Misti or MSTW? What are you thinking about in this point of the cycle? Are you looking to get into one of these, or are you holding? Are you waiting for it to come back down again? How are you playing this side of things? Do you not like Bitcoin at all? Probably didn't get this far in the video if you don't. So anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, guys. Otherwise, guys, I'll leave it there and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.